Look, for me, this is bigger than Hugo Bruce versus Kaizer Chiefs. And I want to have a broader conversation about the future of what we're doing here. But I'll address that part just for the beginning before I get to my bigger point. You're out with your partner. You're out with friends. A friend that knows the both of you and maybe some of your struggles or something, says something, asks your partner a question, and your partner gives an honest answer, an honest but inflammatory answer. Hey, do you like it when he does this? No, actually, I hate it. He can't satisfy me like that, right? The statement itself is true. But in that moment, a couple of things are happening. Number one, I am sitting here with all of these people. I do not know that you're about to say this. I may not even know that sininking and jalo maybe, but I don't know that you're about to say this. And now, when the eyes come to me, I am unprepared. Which is, number one, already an issue, because if you remember the first time Hugo Bruce spoke about Kaizer Chiefs, he went back, the following week he had to say that I'm going to go have coffee with Ntseki. I'm going to go speak to him. Because you had not taken the time and the effort to look at that. And why it's important in this situation is that you are bigger than everything that's meant to happen here. But more importantly, will the thing be constructive in that manner? If it wasn't for maybe we sit down behind closed doors, I tell you what I'm thinking about your team. Privately, between the two of us, we work on a plan. They tell you the problems that they have with you. We figure it out. There's a reason why you don't necessarily hear a lot of the rugby coaches speaking out against Rasi. It's not that they don't have problems. It's not that there aren't issues. But in order to fix and mend and have those relationships together, right, you guys have to come together at the back. So, number one, you've already put me on Front Street, right? Number two, those eyes are looking at me, and now I have to choose how I respond. So, to take it away from Kaizer Chiefs, think about a Basadin, who now you've come out and said publicly that Basadin, or there's players that sign for money. Guys, I'm struggling. I've got my own issues. I've got my own problems. I'm not playing, you haven't picked me. Now I'm sitting at home, and what happens is, the third part of all of this is that when you go home and we think it's fine, tomorrow somebody might come up to me and say, yeah, Vele, you are just a money player. Meanwhile, you don't know where I stand. You don't know why I moved. You don't know what problems I'm having. You don't know what's going on at the club that's going to be an issue for me. Or maybe there's a plan in place, but now I have to publicly go face people when you are not there. When you speak about people, you come in and you put them on blast, and now I have to deal with the repercussions of a conversation that I was not a part of. But thirdly, and the most important thing, and I think the keystone of the conversation I'm going to have today, is that was a moment to sow unity. That was a moment for us to sit down and say, let's put aside the tribalism of our teams. Let's put aside all that stuff. When I say Hugo Bruce mustn't speak out loud, I'm not saying that the things he is saying are lies. I'm saying that you have a far bigger responsibility than you to be honest to a journalist or you to be honest to a group of fans. And now, because there's millions of people, a Bafana is qualified for a World Cup. A Bafana that's been doing incredibly gets whittled down to a conversation about Kaizer Chiefs. That is my issue here, because in that moment, you could sow seeds of growth. Guys, there's a reason why you don't hear quota in rugby. There's a reason why. There's a reason why at the Springboks only one person speaks. There's a reason why everything that comes in, questions, what are monitored. Because at the end of the day, you need to come out with one narrative if you want people to come together under Bafana. Guys, think about it. Think about it. I urge you to watch Rassie Erasmus's podcast, the Springbok coach. He had a former coach there, Nick Mallet. And Nick Mallet said one of the best things Rassie did was to make the Springboks bigger than the teams. Because what was happening was that the Western Province says this, the Bulls are saying that, that one is saying that, why are you picking these players? The exact same thing we're doing right now. And Nick Mallet was speaking about how, as a coach, dealing with all of those politics or playing into them, he says that there's some things that he wished he hasn't said, because those are the unifying things that could bring us all together and make us stronger in the future. So when you're asked the Kaizer Chiefs question, you don't have to lie, but you can say, guys, you know, Kaizer Chiefs is a great team with a great history in South African football. Right now, though, there's a lot of players that I'm looking at that are raising their hands, but the squad that I've picked, I believe, is the best for Bafana right now. And it does not mean that in future, other people won't be able to come in from that team. And all PSL teams. If you put up your hand, I will pick you. But it's a great institution, great management, all of that stuff to keep that relationship, because what happens 2 years from now? And let's say Chiefs miraculously moves on. You see how Sundowns, it moves from Sundowns core to Pirates core. What happens if it moves to Chiefs core and those guys are still carrying some of those words that you said? Are still carrying some of those things? There's far-reaching repercussions. Think about a Modi who was chosen after Hugo made the comments, came back and apologized, had to speak to Ntseki, said he spoke to Ntseki, he brought in Modi. Poor Modi is now walking into that Bafana team and he's thinking to himself, am I here because I'm Modi, or am I here because, you know, I'm a king? I'm a peace symbol. I'm a white flag. I'm an offer for forgiveness, an offer for peace. Think about the pressure Mdu finds himself under, being the only Chiefs player chosen now, and then because of everything that's happening, he sits by himself and he goes, yo, what is going on here? Nami, am I here because Yaliwa la pekai? Abos Kambo Batiso, Abo OT Batiso, Abos Banban Batiso. Now I also have to carry this thing that maybe I didn't have to carry. It's not about truth or honesty. It's about the constructiveness of that honesty. We all have people in our lives that we know we have to speak a certain way to in order to convey the message, or else if niraf, something might happen. And mangraf njalo, some bridges might be burnt and not rebuilt again. But now I want to go towards why you do these things. Remember, Hugo Bruce is not just the head coach of Bafana Bafana. He's the head coach of a national institution that is beholden to all of the people in South Africa. It serves you best if you keep people together, because that's where your commercial opportunities come. That's where you get money. That's where you get sponsorship. We sit in a country where we're often complaining about resources allocated to things, corporate what, this and this, this and that. Now imagine I am a corporation wanting to sponsor Bafana Bafana. Already you have to navigate PSL, SAFA, you have to navigate CAF, you have to navigate that very awkward relationship. But now, in terms of fundamental views and things, why would I put my brand in the middle of all of that? Why? What has it served to tell the truth? Why would I go into drama? Can you imagine if the Springboks were still speaking about, yeah, the black players, yeah, the what, we've picked 5, we've done this. Think about all of the work the Springboks have done since before Sia arrived, when he wasn't wanted as captain, when there was all of these things happening. When I'm forgetting his name, is it Peter Dutoy or Peter something? Peter, the coach was brought in because he was colored and what. Think about where the Springboks were right there. And if you watch those podcasts, there's a point where they speak about coming together and speaking about stronger together. There's conversations where the previous coaches, Rasi brought the previous coaches together and they sat together and they spoke about it. And those guys said, your biggest thing is going to be, how do you transform and win? How do you balance this out? Because up to that point, we have been fighting this thing. It's been a public spat. It's come back into our faces. It's bad. Now, as a rugby federation, we need to sit down and say, is it worth it to fight this battle? Or do we rebrand, retool, bring in certain people and move forward, narrow the ideas? Nick Mallet spoke about how one of the things that he used to struggle with was media. I sit with you, I speak with you, or whatever, then a headline comes out. Rassi goes, oh, what we did for that was to go, okay, we're going to feed you the information, but we're going to feed you the good information or the stats information or whatever. We're not going to speak about anything else because you understand how that will be taken. If not, we'll speak about all of the good things so that the brand awareness and the brand picture and the brand idea is positive and can bring money. We can all be honest, but everybody here knows that sometimes you're not keeping peace for the sake of keeping peace. Me saying that Bruce must keep quiet or dance or whatever is not saying that he mustn't go and sit with those teams and fix the problems. But can you imagine having those conversations out loud in front of everybody? Can you imagine them moving as a fractured group? Can you imagine every day umuntu kumele responde lo khuluma so, lo uthi so, lo uthi so? Remember the feud that they had, Bruce no Rulani, for example. He thinks he's Mourinho. Lona, he says other things. Hey, there was injuries, what. All of that is around. How much money is going to come to that? And what's sad about this particular situation is whether you like it or not, that is a very big fan base of South Africans. And those guys, if you can get them right and get everybody on the same page, fill a stadium. They make things trend. They have numbers. All of your favorite brands and stuff, whenever things are happening, they look for the numbers. You sell the numbers. I'll give you another example. Again, I know in Konzega Kulu, but again, that Rassi Rasmus podcast taught me so much. And we'll get to another part of this, but he said, we were playing bad rugby at the Cheetahs. And I'm paraphrasing. We're playing bad rugby at the Cheetahs. So we sat down with one of the guys. One of the guys was there. I'm forgetting the position he had, but then he was like, listen, you've got a contact at SAB. Can you make sure that for the next X amount of games, they give us beer on consignment or free beer or low price beer, right? Or they lower the prices. Cheaper thing to do. And he said we went to the residences and they came in and we brought them for the beer and we told them every Saturday is going to be free beer at the stadium. We went to the army barracks, the army base. And the guys who were off were like, guys, on Saturdays, come through to the stadium. There's free beer. You guys can have a great time there. And then they'd sit them on opposite sides of the stadium. They'd teach them to say defend when they're defending, attack when they're attacking. And then what happened was, when all the noise, people started thinking this is a vibe because they started seeing people go. And before you know it, the stadium is packed because people thought, oh, hey, gumnandi lapa, they go and they join. Now, mirror that with what's happening right now. Your honesty has ostracized somebody who could be sitting in a chair, who could be buying a jersey, who could be sitting in a stadium, right? Who could be tweeting, who could be writing, who could be putting up a video, who could be doing all of those things. Then we say hashtag Bafana United, and now that hashtag has 500 million hits, and now Safa and Bafana and whoever can go and take that and say, as a brand, this is where Bafana is. Tie your brand to this, but instead, we're fighting each other. Instead, we're fighting each other. One of the things that was said on that podcast was that rugby, again, the Springboks are bigger than everything else. Everybody must fall in line because the goal is for our rugby to get better. I'm sorry, but saying things publicly and speaking to a media person who's going to take that soundbite, find a headline, and then make it divisive so that they can get clicks is not going to help, because those guys are not going to be hell-bent. Look at us fighting each other. Instead, you could have gone behind the scenes, gone to go speak to whoever, gone to go speak to Team X, Y, Z, A, B, gone and created a unified front where everybody can sit together and say, guys, let's move forward. And what's really irritating about this is that this is our football. Danny Joran doesn't want to sit in a room with Dr. Ivan Khoza. They don't want to sit in rooms with each other. We've seen the way that they work together, for example. And now you find a situation, even on that point, let me now move to my actual thing. On that point, even where you find now that extremely powerful people that can do a lot are now not doing it because of personal things, politics, business, what. Instead of saying, guys, we could come together and eat a bigger pie all together. We could come together and have our fights privately. We would come together and have our meetings privately so that we can move forward together. Because what I'm worried about is that we're going into a place where Bafana is the best it's ever been. But most people don't even know. Bafana is in a place where they're the best they've ever been. They're going to a World Cup. But the sentiment around Bafana is not being built. And I can guarantee you that a Dr. Ivan Khoza with a Jessica Mtau, sitting with a John Committees, sitting with who's the owner, a Johan Rupert, sitting with Ntate Motsepe, sitting with other key stakeholders, Panyaza Lisufi, sitting with all of those people all together, could move mountains for Bafana commercially. Mountains. They could come together and we could change football tomorrow if we were together. But in football, we're not together. In football, everybody's doing their own things. And that's the reason why we don't have some things. It's not because of resources or money. It's not because these guys can't go and do things. It's because everybody's doing their own thing and they don't come together. Look at what FIFA's doing now. Do you think it's a coincidence that Motsepe becomes president of CAF? There's an ACA that started, the African Club Association, which just so happened to have taken the top talent everywhere. Jessica Mtaungu, I mentioned, sits there. Hersi Said sits there, the chairperson of Yanga. They've taken all of the top people and they've put them together and said, guys, berakang moho. See what's going to happen. There's a reason why when Aboras, I'm going to mention this a lot, when they come into the thing, they call the former coaches, they call the current coaches, they call everybody, they sit together. Hey, what issues did you come up against? Hey, if you could do that thing over, what would you have done? Hey, I remember when I was a player for you, you said this to me. What does that mean? Hey, commercially, what do we do? One of the things they spoke about was that one of the key things that rugby did, again, Nick Mallet was speaking about this, he was saying that we separated the coach. That's why we have a director of rugby and a coach. And obviously, Rassi right now holds both, but there was a point where Jacques Ninaba was the coach of the rugby. And Urasi said, no, you needed a coach to just coach. We have brilliant coaches who don't care about politics, who don't care about workplace stuff, who don't care. They just want to coach. So we created a position where there's somebody who can be the intermediary between the guys who are up the executive and then the person who's coaching. And that director of rugby will be the guy who'd be in the middle of all of this. Because another thing that was said was, again, I love this because all of these are draw parallel lines to what we're speaking about right now. Nick Mallet said, I didn't like getting told what to do by the higher-ups. So one of the things you do very well, Ras, is that when you know how to massage the people and work with the people, which you probably see with Bruce right now because there's no complaints that are coming from Safa side that way, and he seems to be getting everything that he wants. But you need to create teams of really great people in order to fix the stuff. In business, sometimes they say, if you can put together a great board, if I walk into a room and Johan Rupert and Petrus Motsepe and Dr. Ivan Khoza and Dr. Kaizer and those guys are on my board, and I say to you, I'm starting a company. These are the people that I'm with. You're telling me that those things can't happen? Because the thing I want to speak about mostly here as well, I know we're now moving towards the commercial side. What I'm speaking about mostly here is 10 phone calls could do everything. 10 phone calls from the right people could do everything for Bafana. But there's a work that goes into that. A lot of the time when we look at rugby, it seems as though, oh no, they run in corporate, so they get together because no. Trust me, I've sat with one of the guys that does rugby administration somewhere. And way before the season starts, 5-6 months before, they're phoning any and everyone that is slightly associated. Everyone. I wasn't even part of rugby. I got a phone call. Everyone gets a call. Everyone gets asked, okay, why don't you come through? We're going to have a meeting. We're going to do this. We're going to have a dinner. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. I'll use an example, but I want to give it away. But we're going to have a dinner. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to sit down. Hey, these people for 6 months, they're going back and forth, trying to get these guys in. And it ranges. Some of them, they say, hey, just get me 10 tablets that I can give away. That will be your contribution. Hey, if you can just get me 10,000, as in we'll put your flag over here. That's going to be 10,000. Hey, 100,000. Hey, million, 10 million. Can your company come in for 50? Can it be a headline sponsor? This happens there's more rejections than. And it's not a case of it's charity. I woke up and it's charity. I woke up and, a brand really wanted to sponsor me because they really wanted to sponsor me. No, it's work, guys. It's work. It's relationships. It's using networks. You can't tell me that the people I've listed here struggle with money, struggle with connections. You guys are telling me that a league that didn't have a sponsorship going into the season can't get a sponsorship for Bafana. If everybody came in and said, for the next year, Bafana is the biggest thing, we are all working towards Bafana. Hey, can you loan us facilities for these and these days because you've got the best facilities 1, 2, and 3, 4. Hey, can you guys pay for this and this and this and this and this? Hey, can you guys buy 1,000 kits from Adidas and we'll distribute them into shops all over the place? Hey, can you do this? I'm telling you, and that's just ground level stuff. We have people that can move mountains because when you see a Springboks game and it rain near Ellis Park, and Ellis Park is safe, and the stadium is quiet, and everybody there's no muggings, there's no this, there's no that. You're telling me that the same PSL that has all types of powerful people who sit on stadium boards, people who own parts of things, people who are high-ranking government officials, things that were doing all that, you're telling me that none of them can ensure that for football? So my wish for South African football is that all of the brilliant people can come together and we can understand that we need to move in one direction, whether it is how you speak to the people on the ground, how you speak to prospective fans, how you speak to rejected people, how you speak to the people you've chosen, how you manage those communications to those people, how you manage the media, how you manage what to give to them, how you manage what message you want to go out. Maybe it helps you to speak glowingly about a team so that the people who support the team can be on your side. You can win them over without having. Maybe you don't say certain things that tomorrow we'll question. Oh, you said this team is doing badly, but now you've chosen somebody from below. So does it mean that that team is automatically all bad because there's one that's worse that you're picking? Because you said something, for example, right? When it comes down to our administration, can we go out and get people and find people and put them together and use the incredible people that we have around? Think about the names that are incredible. Jessica, marketing commercial. Find a way to work with her, Bafana. Or find a way to work with her people, her team. Find a way to work. Guys, call in rugby. Call in cricket. Hey, guys, siyashaya walana ngama messaging and what. Ngenani, please can you just show us how you guys crafted this thing? And maybe one of you guys can jump in and form part of this dream team that we're building in order to take this thing forward and make everything profitable. The profitable Bafana can go down to everybody else. It comes down to the structures we're doing. It comes down to the monies we're spending. It comes down to all of these things that we need to be doing around our football in unison. In unison. Guys, it's not that rugby, again, it's not that rugby does not have its flaws, does not have its beefs, does not have its whatevers. The problem is that you are never going to see it. I'll give you another example. To take it away from Chiefs. Can you imagine a story broke? Can you imagine? This is a made-up story, please. Can you imagine a story broke that said, our police, Dr. Ivan Koza called the chairman and threatened him. Or Dr. Ivan Koza comes out in a press conference and says, Pulukwan had no money, so we gave them an offer of 5 million. They wanted 10, we said no. I told them that our guys are namali. Take this out, it's fine, we'll go to 7. Right? And then that's the story that leads. How would you look at Pirates? How would you feel about Pirates? How would you feel about this season? How would you feel about the club? There's a reason why Pirates is quiet. There's a reason why. There's a reason why Pirates is quiet. You can't say anything to them. You don't know the story. You don't know the inside. True, false, honest or not. They choose not to tell you certain things. Because if you knew those certain things, it might change how you view the club. Think about all the episodes of The Change Room and things like that they've put out. Think about it. Have you ever seen anything that damages the club? Are they lying? Or is it just public relations so that the good of the club is kept the good of the club? Why do we not think that way for the national team? People who go to events, there's things you don't say about your own people when you're outside. Because hey, hey, I can't say this here because, if I say this here, imagine if that guy said this about me. Now I have to account to all these people. This is why I'm saying that all of these things need to be controlled and planned, and we need to be strategic. Strategy is one of the most important things that you can do, man. And sometimes in our football, it feels like we're missing it. We're missing it in development sometimes. We're missing it with our players sometimes. We're missing it with our coaches sometimes. We're missing it with our management sometimes. We're missing it with the administration of the whole thing sometimes. It doesn't just happen. And it doesn't happen because these ones, it might be a little bit easier for them to do it. It might be. But it doesn't mean that you can't. And it's not going to fall out of the sky. Support is not going to fall out of the sky. And if you need South Africans, not Chiefs fans or TSK, need South African fans to be part of what you are doing, you try and take away every obstacle to them supporting you. You remove every obstacle. Because already it's tough to try and get George to leave his house and go watch Bafana. Now George can't leave his house because his team that he loves is trending. He's getting messages from his friends saying, look, Pirates is carrying the team. Chiefs is trash. Hugo Bruce said it. I must go and watch that now. I must go. I must get up and go and watch it. Whether it will be fixed or not, whether it's true or not, you just added 10 more steps to me going out and buying that jersey. To me going out and doing those things. I might as well sit home. I might as well be anti. There was a very interesting thing that used to happen lastly on campus in student leadership. In a campus where everybody is apolitical, they don't care. The last thing you want to do when you want them to jump on board is to show them drama. And we used to say this to candidates and people all the time, that guys, when you go up there, that person doesn't know you. They have a need. So when you come out and it's noise, I'm just going to go home, man. There's a reason why we can't watch the Springboks. Like, there's a reason why you can't watch the Springboks all year long. You can't watch most of the matches unless you have a certain package. But you feel a way about the Springboks. Do you know the ins and outs? No. Do you know the struggles they're having now? No. How hard is it to find something negative that doesn't have to do with rugby? How hard is it? Just Google something and find something negative that doesn't have to do with the rugby itself. That has to do with something around, the Blue Bulls are rejecting the Springboks. There's a reason. Last night I spoke to Temba Shabalala, journalist from Josie FM, one of my grootman. I spoke to him and he said, when you go to the Springboks, everything is controlled down to the T. There's not a sound bite, not a headline, not a thing that will come out. I used the example of, I think it was Damian Willemse. Damian Willemse, when they came home from the World Cup, he was drunk off of his mind. He did not change his kit for a week. I forgot how long it was. Did not change his kit for a week. Atagiwe every day. How many quotes came from him? How many truths could have come from him? How many damaging facts could have come from him? But yet they go, what is the big goal here? I will call the player. I will call the team. We'll sit down with them. So bonisana uthi senza njani, or where they fit in my plans or where they don't fit, what we can come to a compromise on, who are the guys that maybe are standing out that maybe I might be looking at, what do I need from them, can we have a unified front, can we have a joint statement, can we do this, can we do that, we'll sort out those things. But when we go publicly, it has to be one message and one song that we're all singing. That is how you build a unified brand. That is what's going to help Bafana and even the league, to be honest. Even the league, even our development and all of that stuff. If we can all get unified again. And all these things count in doing so. So for me, going forward, I urge them to come together. I urge them to give us something. Nigeria has no grief for anybody, which was a big clarion call. It was a big call for everybody to come in and form a line behind that. The Springboks had stronger together. Even Rasi spoke about how social media, the documentaries, the stuff, makes it so much easier for him to do his job because, the players are liked. He is liked. They've worked hard to make sure that the media, or what's portrayed in media that they control, is a likable thing, because likable brings more people. I'd love to see that for Bafana, especially going to a World Cup. The first time we've qualified directly, without admin, since 2002. We need to do better. Banyana went to a World Cup and there was no unity. It's bigger than Chiefs versus Bruce. It's bigger than, South Africa, King Bafana versus rugby. It's bigger than corporate and all of that stuff. This is how we move our football forward. I'll see you guys on the next one.